Hi, quick follow-up chat to the Saturday chat. But before I start on the feedback items, I want to show you this one. I just broke off one of the aerials as I was moving it yesterday. So this Churchill was my premium best kit that I had done up until that stage, late 90s maybe, can't remember. And it was sort of part of my main World War II tanks series that I was doing. Now I haven't looked at this one in the cabinet because the cabinet was behind things and hardly viewable for quite some time, but I noticed fluff. Difficult to actually describe it. So you see all of the white patches. That was actually similar weathering to this. It was sort of a filler mix. It wasn't plaster of Paris. It was a little bit of a softer spackle type of mix, which weirdly after 20 years appears to have disintegrated and expanded into a light powder fluff, which just brushed off. I knocked off some slightly thicker sections. Now it actually makes a semi-interesting finish, the sort of white, but it's not quite what was intended. I can't even remember how I did this grass section. I mean, I obviously just glued it on with wood glue, but I can't remember what I trimmed up to be those sort of Hessian fiber type of things. So I'm probably going to just touch up those white spots with a little bit of browniness. But it's the first time and only time I've seen that where the filler has actually changed its composition over years. I just want to show that cable. So that cable on the side there is rewound with copper wire, forming a 7-strand wire, which I'm guessing if you build armor, you've seen people do that online, just taking a thin transformer. You can do it with 5-strand, 7-strand, some number more than that as well, depending on the thickness you want. Since that one, I have done a very nice, my next best ever piece of armor, which is a King Tiger, where I did a lot of the Zimmerit work with Tamir putty. But this one's still very nice. I'd actually like to do another Churchill in not so weathered a scheme. A couple of the points regarding, cabinets getting full, storage boxes, putting models into storage boxes, so not really on display anymore. Yeah, I mean, my view at the moment is that I've decided on what display space will be available. What goes into there, and once that's full, you either remove something or storage boxes are the next option. In other words, essentially you're packing them away for some period, because I'm just not going to take up more house space with more display space. I've seen some people that just get more and more shelves, and it's a bit overwhelming. I don't need that much to be on display. I was trimming. I only brought this piece. I was trimming the TA154 last night a little bit. Now you see that yellowing. You see that yellow browning on the edges. I think that is the oil that was possibly put onto the molds, which collected near the edges, because as I was trimming this, the plastic has actually changed composition. It is no longer a soft styrene plastic there. So I just wanted to say that if you do vac forms and you see that on an old kit, just be prepared that it's probably a bit stuffed. I put this into hot water to try and de-warp. And what happened is, obviously with the chemical composition absorbing this oil, it actually warped worse. I've used force to actually get it pretty good again. But if I put this in hot water, it's going to deform again. Because, you know, a normal warped piece has got stresses in it. And when you put it in hot water, it'll sort of semi-release the stresses up to the point at which it feels it's fine. And then you put more stresses on it to get it to warp back. But because of the chemical changes in here, which sort of reach a point there, you can almost, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's a point there where it's affected the plastic enough. Anyway, you can see all those little nubs, which apparently are part of the process to try and the little air breather holes in the mold, so that as it's sucking down, you don't get little air pockets or air bubbles stopping it from touching the surface completely. But I've done others like this where I think this is a Welsh models where that is not present. So Welsh models obviously did a better process. This was at a stage when I was slightly more enthusiastic about doing some Vac Form airliners. This is the one I wanted to show you where I'd done this method to ensure a good join. It's a hell of a lot of work, and but it does ensure that when you put this together and you glue it all up, it'll be really, really nice, and not, it sort of keeps it centered, and but you can get just about the same sort of quality by not doing a zipper method, just putting strips or even a quarter of the amount of zipper here. But anyway, I mean, I just wanted to try it out. It was just a practice, and shortly after that I just lost interest in actually doing these airliners. I'll still finish this 757, I guess, but at the moment I'm treating this, and someone did add that comment for the full mower, which I'm going to do. This one I'll trim here and there where I feel like trimming a bit more, and I may try and glue the halves and just see and sand down these little nubs. But the full mower I'm actually going to try and do nicely, and really it's just about doing something different. One does get a little bit, I'm not going to say, I'm not bored with plastic modeling ever, but to do a slightly different thing is nice on occasion. Someone also mentioned about paper and card models. I don't do much, but I do have a couple. Oh, I even have this one, which is sort of a bit of a wreck. This was just one that they sold at the museum where I'm actually going this afternoon. I just slapped this. I mean, this is for kids. I didn't do too much to try and improve the strengthening. I just wanted to get an idea of how they handled things. Anyway, so I'm going to do slowly enough on that fairy full mower to try and get to the point where I have one 1/72 Vac Form kit on my display shelf. I have got none at the moment. I have built one. I've built a complete one, but I've since, it was an airliner 737. I have since taken the wings off again, and it's not really on display. I'll show you at some point. The paints affecting plastic, briefly talked about that. There are comments on the video about some category of paints, but I won't. It appears as if it's not specifically the fault of that paint. Because remember, I also made that video about when I was spraying the clear onto the motorbike taillights and I affected the plastic. So really that's just an overload of solvent. I was spraying quite a lot to try and get the color down, the clear red, and the thinners affected the plastic. So I mean, inevitably, yes, you can affect the plastic by heavy solvents, but there are other little aspects that were mentioned in the comments about you're not getting a consistent result with sometimes some old kits, 50-year-old plastic from some manufacturers being slightly different to others. I have encountered that. Don't know if you've ever seen this on the Monogram and Airfix. There were some aircraft that they molded in the dark blue, very dark blue, and that, weirdly, that color was a lot harder and more brittle plastic than some of the light grays in that. I was always wondering, do some of the pigments or colorations that they put in, also change the hardness or the brittle characteristics of the plastic? That I really didn't like that hard brittle plastic. So the nice soft grays are quite nice. I think the red was possibly also a little bit harder than the grey. There was also a comment, I think, from Carl again, just talking about not only the use of parts, extra parts on one to kit bash, modify, improve another kit, but even modifying in such a way that you're actually just producing a new thing. I remember a long time ago when I was in primary school, I went to a friend's house and he pulled out this box and it shocked me what I saw, which was a Spitfire with a vampire tail attached. And I'm like, what have you done? You have ruined a vampire and ruined a Spitfire. And like, no, he just had a box of old model parts and he decided to glue things randomly together. He had a couple of other wacky inventions that he'd made there, but I remember this Spitfire vampire mix, which was very weird. Possibly my first exposure to a kit bash in that format. And this nice P47 that I've got now comes with 3 extra propellers. It's got 4 propellers in total, each one with slightly different blades, which is really nice, gives you the options in the kit. But after you've chosen the one you want to do, that gives you some very nice bits to do extras with. I also end up with a lot of spare stores, external stores, which you can use quite interestingly, although they're sort of all, bomb and missile shaped items, as opposed to the more randomly shaped items. But I keep most of my leftovers. I keep all my leftovers. So I've got boxes of random bits for if I ever actually decide to kit bash stuff in the format of just building a little bit onto this and a bit onto that, and you have no clue where this is going, but it looks cool when you glue them on. So I will do that at a stage. I think that was all that needed catching up, so we'll go to the museum this afternoon and I will put up videos. We hope that that comes out okay. Happy modeling. Cheers.